We turn now to a series of major decisions from the United States Supreme Court. In one of many rulings released this week, the High Court determined that Planned Parenthood cannot sue South Carolina for cutting off its state Medicaid funding. Though federal law typically bans the use of Medicaid funds for abortions, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster cut off Planned Parenthood's access to state Medicaid funds in 2018, claiming it might use money received for other services to fund abortion. Planned Parenthood and one of its patients sued the state, but the 6 conservative justices ruled on Thursday a private party like Planned Parenthood cannot ask the court to give it federal funds. Pro-life advocates are celebrating the Supreme Court decision as a major win against Planned Parenthood.
But it opens the door for every pro-life state in this country to begin to dismantle all Medicaid funding for Planned Parenthood within their states. And that's a really big deal, considering that Planned Parenthood makes hundreds of millions of dollars in Medicaid funding from the government every single year.
The head of the U.S. Bishops' Committee on Pro-Life Activities also praised the ruling. In a written statement, Bishop Daniel Thomas said South Carolina was right to deny Planned Parenthood taxpayer dollars. Publicly funded programs like Medicaid should only support authentic, life-affirming options for mothers and children in need. Fresh off of his big legal win, we are joined now by John Bursch, senior counsel for the legal organization Alliance Defending Freedom. John argued the Medina case in the Supreme Court on behalf of South Carolina. John, thanks for being with us. And again, congratulations on winning your case. Summarize your argument to the Supreme Court justices for us. Why does South Carolina have a right to cut off Medicaid funding to Planned Parenthood?
Well, it's really pretty simple, and we're very proud of South Carolina for having moved forward with determination. Money, we know, is fungible. And so if Planned Parenthood is getting Medicaid monies from the state for one thing, then that allows it to shift overhead costs, whether that be for employees or for the rent of their building or even to purchase their building. It frees up those monies to do something else, which includes supporting abortion. Mm-hmm. And we were just pleased as can be that the United States Supreme Court not only upheld the right of South Carolina to defund Planned Parenthood, but any state that wants to do the same.
That goes to my next question, John. Can you explain how does the Supreme Court ruling immediately impact other pro-life states? What are the greater implications of this case?
Over the last 10 years or so, there are many states besides South Carolina that have attempted to defund Planned Parenthood. And in many of those states, they were frustrated by federal judges who issued injunctions that required those states to put Planned Parenthood back on the payroll. We know that there are innumerable problems with Planned Parenthood, aside from being the largest abortion provider in the United States. They're also the second largest provider of dangerous and experimental puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for children who have gender dysphoria. And as the New York Times documented earlier this year, there are innumerable problems that their clinics have just providing basic services and things like that. So this is something that all those states that courts have blocked can immediately go back and seek to have their disfunding of Planned Parenthood or disqualification be put back into place.
John, the Planned Parenthood client who was involved in this case argued that without Medicaid funding, she would not be able to go to Planned Parenthood, her preferred healthcare provider. Can you respond to that argument? Does this ruling roll back her rights?
It absolutely does not, because South Carolina has roughly 200 publicly funded places that someone with Medicaid can go to get medical services. And that's even not counting all the private doctors that take Medicaid. And nearly every one of those places will provide more comprehensive care than Planned Parenthood does. So, for example, Ms. Edwards alleged in her complaint that she has diabetes, partial blindness, and nerve damage. And when she went to the Planned Parenthood clinic, all they did was give her birth control and told her that she needed to get her high blood pressure checked out. They didn't do anything to help her with any of her other health needs. If she had gone merely a mile away to another one of these Medicaid clinics that South Carolina sponsors, she would have been able to get in-network treatment for all of the conditions that she was experiencing. So not only is this a win for taxpayers who don't want their money to go to Planned Parenthood, it's a win for women because they can get better health care as a result of South Carolina's decision.
John, the Alliance Defending Freedom, the legal group you are with, publicly states its goal of standing up for the sanctity of human life. That being said, can you explain how do you foresee this week's ruling impacting the national pro-life movement's goals?
Well, anytime that you're defunding abortion clinics, you are taking away opportunities for people to take the unborn children's lives. Just in the last couple of months, we've seen the largest Planned Parenthood in the country in Manhattan close down, as well as 2 clinics here in my home state of Michigan because of lack of funding. And so if pro-life states take away Medicaid funding on the state level, and the federal government is successful, as it's proposing to do in its budget right now, to defund Planned Parenthood at the federal level, that will result in many more of those clinic closures and countless unborn lives which will be saved.